Do you own a startup business? Are you aware of marketing opportunities? Connect with other youth businesses to explore and expand at this year's National Youth Agribusiness and Tourism Expo. With over 200 participants for 2 whole weeks. Yes, 2 weeks. Join the networking event trade with fashion and pitching competition to win up to $50,000 cash. $50,000 to be won. From 29th November to 12th December at the Independence Stadium. Stalls are as low as $4,000. So call 703-9499, 368-5556 or 780-9979. New Tase Trade Fair, presented by the Gambia Youth Chamber of Commerce.
tey la bisa jongante bi ñëpp doon xaar ngir mën a xam ci diggante Fanta ak Binta kan moo ci dàq togg Binta mu ngi ak ay feemam di tablette jumbo arom bi ñu dooleel laaj soble poobar ak ñoomin seen xet gi neex na xale yi bëgg nañ ko lool Fanta gëm na ni moo jël ndam li waaye dafa mel ni Binta moo ko nar a jël ci dëgg-dëgg ak bii arom Binta am na ay feema yu tax mu mën a jël raw gàddu gi jumbo arom sama cafka sama ndam.
It is the Gambia's first fashion design training institute. Yes, Ida's Ideas Fashion Design Training Institute, Gambia's pride, purely owned and managed by professionals, highly skilled and with vast experience in the fashion design industry. Our training is based on an internationally recognized curriculum with emphasis on youth empowerment with an objective to be a successful fashion designer and future entrepreneur. Learn fast and explore your potentials in an environment that is exceptional and perfect for easy learning. We have what it takes for you to succeed. Our courses include 1-year certificate in fashion design and garment construction, followed by a 1-year higher national diploma in fashion design and entrepreneurship, wrapping up with a 6-month apprenticeship program with assigned fashion designers for quality assurance and graduation. Enrollment for the second cohort is now open. Rush now and grab a form as training will soon commence. Ida's Ideas Fashion Design and Training Institute, transforming ideas into realities. For more information, call 7878-312 or 990-5806.
Good evening. We're broadcasting live from our headquarters in Canifing, and this is the news file coming to you straight from the Gambia Radio and Television Services. I am your presenter, Fatu Janimbai, and
I am Momodi Jai.
We're also coming up ahead for you on the program, debates and deals towards a sustainable world. Delegates at the 74th UN General Assembly discuss security and combating human trafficking and organized crime in the Sahel. Position young people in decision-making. 200 global influencers and youth leaders convene in Banjul for the first Europe-Africa Youth Leadership Summit.
We're also coming up in the program, boosting blood supplies in hospitals amid a soaring demand. A local taekwondo group collaborates with health officials to encourage voluntary blood donations. We'll hear from organizers behind the major scheme Well, in sports, the World Athletics Championships begin in Doha with more than 2,000 athletes from 209 nations competing for gold. The Gambia's Gina Bass and Africa's track queen is making waves in Doha already.
Well, quite interesting, Modu. And finding a cause for impeachment, Democrats press ahead with the inquiry into the whistleblower allegations, placing Trump at the center of a new saga. Well, all that and much more coming ahead in the next 1 hour. We are your presenters, Fatu Janimbai and
Momo Tinjai.
It's good to have you with us. Welcome to the News File. A warm welcome to News File. We begin with a quick look at the 74th session of the UN General Assembly, where world leaders are holding bilateral talks and striking deals to force ahead with the future. Accompanied by senior government officials, the Vice President had a meeting with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who expressed pride in the strides made by the Gambia since the ascension of the Barrow administration. Guterres promised UN support for the country's transitional justice process, while delegates have also been discussing peace and security in the Sahel, as well as increase in human trafficking, which has been amplified by an outpouring of war, hunger, and the effects of climate change. Described as a major obstacle to development, human trafficking has particularly endangered the lives of migrant women, increasingly journeying alone. Now, earlier, GRTS spoke with Lve Grts, the Executive Director of the National Agency Against Trafficking in Persons, NATIP, on deliberations to combat the menace. Let's take a listen.
Of a meeting with the Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for the U.S. It was headed by Her Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of the Gambia, and one of the issues discussed was the U.S. TIP report 2018 to 2019 reporting period. The VP was able to address the issues on the report and brought out the recommendations, where we were able to inform the Deputy Assistant that the government of the Gambia is willing, is ready, and is committed to combating the crime against trafficking in persons, as the Gambia has signed and ratified the Palermo Protocol, which is a protocol to prevent, suppress, and punish those involved in trafficking in persons, especially women and children. And this supplements the United Nations Conventions Against Transnational Organized Crime, i.e. the Palermo Protocol. NATIP's mandate is to combat trafficking in persons. And what we were able to say to her in this meeting was that we will look at the recommendations. We have seen the recommendations of the TIP report. We will look at the recommendations and would implement these recommendations in the next year's annual report to combat trafficking in persons. We have just come out.
Well, the Executive Director of the National Agency Against Trafficking in Persons, NATIP, Lve Grts, is there outlining the outcome of discussions to combat organized crimes. Quite interesting there, Modu.
Yeah, quite interesting, Fatu, and I'm sure we have more stories related to the topic. Now, universal health takes a high precedence at the 74th United Nations Assembly, which aims to drive a renewed agenda to realize sustainable development goals, with particular focus on ending non-communicable diseases. Earlier, GRTS's Fatou Sane Sise met Ndeye Mariam Diop, the founder and president of the Africa Sickle Cell Support Foundation in New York, and began by asking her what it will take to end NCDs like sickle cell on the continent. Let's take a listen.
It's called the Africa Sickle Cell Support Foundation. And I started off as a Gambia sickle cell, and then I asked myself, is it affecting Gambia alone, or is it affecting the whole Africa? So I said, let me just change the name and call it the Africa Sickle Cell Support so I can work with the rest of the world. And the foundation focuses on people affected by sickle cell disease. This is the warrior who is affected directly, and the parents and the family and friends surrounding them. And I realized that Africa has the highest growth of numbers of children born with sickle cell, and the mortality rate is really high because we don't have a treatment plan in place and medication and resources to foster independence for these children and families being affected. So I started working with the Gambia Sickle Cell Foundation, the Nigeria Sickle Cell Foundation, and I have one of my partners here and other stakeholders who are part of the organizations as well. And my goal is to make sure that every child born is screened for sickle cell disease, not just for sickle cell disease, but other genetic diseases as well. Because it's very important to actually foster care for these things from the start, so we can actually have a treatment plan for them, which will give them a long life to live. So we do advocacy, we do education, we help with medications, and and treatment plans for the future as well, because a lot of people still don't understand sickle cell disease and what causes it, and how to actually prevent these things from happening. That's why we're here, and I'm happy to work with a lot of organizations. They don't have to be sickle cell disease or sickle cell disorder that we try to use the word disorder instead of the disease. So working together as team with different organizations will actually help to promote the knowledge, knowing what's in there, what you can do to help and support people dealing with this disorder. The project is
Lve Mariam Job, the founder and president of the Africa Sickle Cell Support Foundation, speaking to GRTS there.
Well, speaking to GRTS is Fatou, who is also in the United States, of course, covering proceedings of the United Nations 74th UN General Assembly.
Fatou is a GRTS correspondent, speaking there from New York with Lve Mariam Job.
Right, now moving forward, live from Banjul, this is the news file. We now explore a major convergence bringing youth leaders and influencers from across Africa for a major summit in Banjul. It's all courtesy of the Pan-African Youth Leadership Foundation, an all-inclusive youth platform that seeks to represent and realize the aspirations of millions of African youth via education and development of vital skills. Now moving to become a pace setter in youth development affairs, the Pan-African Youth Leadership Foundation aims to be the single largest youth body on the continent by 2022. Driven via European collaboration, the youth conference themed on Not Too Young to Lead joins a roving scheme of moving to galvanize influencers, youth leaders, organizations, civil society, and potential investors from both continents to amplify leadership. To amplify leadership capacities and development opportunities for young people. Here's a piece of the day's activities. Take a listen. Well, well, to expand on that conversation, of course, we have two gentlemen in our studios. We have Francis Ben Kaifala. He is a commissioner of Anti-Corruption Commission of Sierra Leone. And, of course, we have our very own Babukar Kebe, who is the president.
The CEO of the
Chief Executive Officer, of course, a young person there. Gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the News File, and, of course, by extension, to GRTS.
Good evening.
Now, of course, we do know PAYIV, that's the Pan-African Youth Leadership Organization, moves to encourage youth leadership and decision-making. Now, why is leadership essential in the development of young people?
Because I believe leadership is where the decisions are taken, is where the implementations take place, is where the policies are developed. Therefore, if young people have to also be part of leading the country, taking leadership roles is really vital to moving the country forward, and that is where really that the fulcrum is for changing things, for development and for change.
Quite interesting. For development and for change, youth have to be there in the center of that table, the decision-making table. Babukar Kebe.
Yes, I think it's crucial, like my colleague here said. If you remember back days in the Gambia, we championed the campaign of Not Too Young to Run. We have to realize that that have actually paid dividend. And one of the outcome was we able to got one of the youngest parliamentarians from that campaign. And today, that replicate, really inspired a lot of councils within the National Assembly and local government elections. And we have missed almost 10% of the National Assembly parliamentarians become young people. And again, if you go to the councils, the regional councils, you see that almost over 25% of their councillors are almost young people. So this shows that the leadership of Africa really have to be taken forward by young people, and we cannot just take the back seat and always complain to be given the opportunity. Yeah. We really have to be there to really, amplify change, the change that we want for Africa.
We cannot always take the back seat. I like that, but I'm sure we will further expand that also. But now, in 2015, young people in Africa constituted about 19% of the global youth population. Now, that number faces immense challenges from jobs to politics to education. What sort of hope do multilateral efforts like this signify for young people?
I think it brings that synergy and inspiration. We draw what is happening in other countries. We develop on the experiences of other people. We also share ideas and pool ideas and resources together to be able to move youth activities, young people involvement in governance, in leadership, in development strides, and generally in moving their countries forward. So multilateralism is where the world is going and where the world is, and being in isolation, like my brother here in Gambia, they are doing a lot. But now he's sitting side by side me, and I can give him the experience of Sierra Leone. And we have people coming from Spain, people coming from Bulgaria, people coming from other parts of the world. So it's really good. Those experiences can bring, like they said, more heads, better ideas. That's basically the idea behind
but now we know that the summit looks to engage and encourage skills as a practical means to expand gainful knowledge. How will the learning of new skills and expertise, you pen the youth dilemma in terms of jobs and migration? Maybe I will allow our Gambian colleague to harp on that.
I think it's for us as a country, it's critical. Looking at the unemployment rate of the country, have gone up to 41.5%. And I think skills is the way forward now, is what we need. We look at other services that we are giving out in terms of constructions, in terms of carpentry, technology. We always hiring out experts and all that. And I think the government of the Gambia have done very well in terms of bringing, launching the national skills sector committee hosted by the Minister of Higher Education, where we now looking at even bringing apprenticeship and formalizing apprenticeship. Now what they're doing right now is to bring craftsmen as master craftsmen to really train these young people to be certified and get the required skills to be able to be architects, to be able to be carpenters, engineers, to really reduce the number of experts that Gambia is importing to really develop this country. So I think the summit is, the team is up, but again the different areas that we are looking at is also very critical, especially for Gambia and as we speak at the moment.
Yes, quite interesting. Of course, when we look at the theme, not too young to run, but then again, look at a lot of African countries, we have the composition of their government, you hardly see young people there. And of course, the Gambia is not an exception. Now, the notion of inexperience always come to play. It overshadows the debate. Now, how can this conference aim to topple that idea and encourage youth to engage in decision making?
Well, I can say that the narrative around youth participation in governance is changing. In many countries, you have young people holding vital positions. In Sierra Leone, for example, in my country, we have a president who believes in youth, and he has appointed young people in really important positions, ministerial positions, departments as agency. I had one of the most important institutions in the country, the Anti-Corruption Agency. Yes, leading over 300 staff to fight corruption, and the entire country focuses on that, sometimes even more than other parts of the world. So the narrative is changing, and that is why we are bringing people together. We share from these experiences, but to make sure that countries that are lagging behind can believe in youth, because the delivery from those of us who have now The Bible says, for example, when thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren. Those of us who have occupied these positions and are doing our way to move our countries forward are joining our brothers so that we can send the message across. That is why, in fact, I am sitting down here to speak to the Gambian people for them to see that young people can occupy such positions and be capable of doing things. And if you follow the work we are doing in different countries, you will see that young people are doing remarkably well. So the narrative has to change. And countries like Gambia, Liberia, Guinea, everywhere in Africa have to know that young people can do it and the time is now.
Good. Young people can do it and the time is now. Now, tell us about this European partnership. What can Africa learn from Europe's example?
I think Africa has to understand that, for example, the Europeans have united. They have the OECD countries, but they have also the European EC, the Economic Community, which is doing very well. It shows the strength of unity. It shows that borders are what are keeping us apart. We have to remove those artificial barriers for us to be able to have a bigger market, to have a bigger pool of ideas, to be able to move our resources across borders, and to develop the continent well. So Europe has a lot for us to tap from. Similarly, they too have a lot to learn from us, but the unity that they are showing, the sense of purpose that they are showing, the sense of direction that they are showing is what really Africa has to look to and try to remove the individualism that is happening in Africa, for us to know that if we come together, we are stronger and better together, and it will be more difficult to defeat.
And just to add, there's more to and believe in ourselves as well, that we can do it definitely without even support from elsewhere.
Of course, and I think that's actually going to be the future, Africa to develop its, by its own.
Absolutely.
I think that's the future, but the look of the African young people is really promising. But on the other side also, we're talking of a staggering figure of 10 to 15 million young people that join Africa's job market every year. What prospects and challenges does this present for the continent, which has the largest youth population in the world?
I think the recently launched Africa Free Trade Agreement is an opportunity for us as Africans to really remove the artificial barriers that we're talking about. But again, it's a leverage for Europe to really come back and invest, and not to only import the raw materials. But I think the forum actually highlights how Europe could really exchange expertise and really transfer knowledge and skills to Africans to really develop, instead of just getting the raw materials and transport it or exporting it from their countries. But again, that's one way that we can really address unemployment and the 15 million that are graduating or coming to the job market every year. I think entrepreneurship skills is actually the way forward for African governments, for private sectors to really look at and reflect critically. Also, come up with deliberate policies that actually looked at youth issues and address them critically. I think that we have leaders that only come. In case somebody mentioned that we need to have visionary leaders, but the visionary leaders that also don't allow the system to really corrupt them, but let them work against the system to come up with a new way of really, maneuvering those traditional way of getting things done.
Exactly.
And I think that's critical.
Yeah, Mr. Kevin, but I just want to wrap up with these questions before Fatu also has something to say. We're talking about skills and young people. Now, to be honest, most African young people look at white-collar jobs as a way out for employment. What do you have to say to some of those young people who are watching this live news file on GRTS to take up other skills employment jobs?
I think the narrative and then the behavioral change is changing. I work as a chamber and we deal with young people. And when we look at them, we're trying to bring some successful stories. We've just launched yesterday the Tech FA program for Gambia. And again, you see young people who have started from scratch. Today they're making a lot of money.
Exactly.
They don't even, some of them, I even see some civil servants working on government.
Exactly.
Really rely on those people for some favors and all that. I think it's high time that the Gambia, we take things seriously as young people, and then the white-collar jobs, we're waiting for salary. The poorest person in this earth is the one that only waits for monthly salary.
Oh my God.
Seriously. The person, the entrepreneur that gets every day multiple times of money is way bigger and more prosperous than the person that only sits. We put on our suit sometimes to inspire, but in reality, the amount of life and the ways the person really change as an entrepreneur is way bigger than the civil servant sitting inside the office. Wow. We all know that. Wow. I think that's a changing point for all of us as young people. If you're watching, I think it's time that we start, do the last minute thing and then make it in the
Get it done. Mr. Kaifala, maybe you just have a few seconds to
Finally, yes, and the way forward.
Before you close
as
the
far
program
as-
for the way forward.
Yes, I would just encourage the leadership in the Gambia and in other parts of Africa to believe in young people. We have ideas, we have the energy, we have the time on our hands to do things that can produce wonders for countries. And let us believe in youth. And I believe, speaking on behalf of all young people of Africa, including those in Gambia, that if given the opportunity, Archimedes once said that give me a terra firma and I'll move the earth. If you give us a strong position for us to stand from, we'll be able to move our countries better. And I'm encouraging all African leaders to believe in young people to be able to produce this. And I'm also encouraging the young people, on the other hand, when the opportunity comes, do not waste it. Because you are like an ambassador representing the generations behind you, people who are also there to take. If you mess it up, it's easy for them to point to say, oh, yes, we gave a young man this, look at what he did. But if you do it well, you open room for other people to follow. So let young people also be able to produce the results once they are given responsibility. But I have immense faith in Africa. I have immense faith in young people. And I believe it is the time for us to now give young people the chance. And we should in the Gambia.
It is now time for us to give young people the chance. Fatu, I think that's a quite interesting wrap-up statement.
Definitely, Modu Njai. It was a pleasure having the two gentlemen in our studios. Of course, Francis Ben Kaifala, a commissioner from the Anti-Corruption Commission of Sierra Leone, as well as our very own Babuka Kebe, Chief Executive Officer of Gambia Youth Chamber of Commerce. Good to have you in our studios.
Thank you very much.
Now, moving forward, let's take a close look at two vital issues affecting healthcare sector across Africa: blood shortage and unsafe blood. With global blood supplies dropping amid an increasing demand for blood transfusions, the need for blood donations cannot be overstated. Now, more than half of global supplies comes from developed countries, which accommodate just about 18% of the world's population. A staggering 82% lacks access to blood they may need for various medical treatments. Blood donations remain a critical part of daily transfusions necessary to save lives, but access to safe blood has continued to be challenging as supplies they dry up. In sub-Saharan Africa, the problem has especially increased maternal death. Severe bleeding during delivery or after childbirth is the commonest cause of maternal mortality and contributes to around 34% of maternal deaths in Africa. Donations in developed countries have constantly been higher than low-income nations, where shortages have been acutely felt in the health sectors as demands far exceed available supplies. In the Gambia, a collaborative scheme between Warm Taekwondo, a local sports group, and the Serikunda General Hospital aims to boost supplies in hospitals with a major commemoration of World of Blood Donors Day, encouraging voluntary donations. Well, Sheikh Chu tells us more.
A major awareness. Blood donation will not only save life, but will ensure the next mother giving birth makes a safe delivery. According to the WHO, severe bleeding during pregnancy, delivery, and after childbirth is the single biggest cause of maternal death across the world. But voluntary donations are hard to come by amid the absence of sensitizations and awareness on the impact of blood donation. This is why an officially registered martial art club, Warm Taekwondo Gambia, decided to organize a major awareness-raising campaign in observance of Blood Donors Day. The Taekwondo group aims to encourage voluntary donation through public education. The event began with a march past from the Pipeline Mosque to the Serikunda Hospital. Organizers are aiming to help prevent blood shortages in our hospital, with a major crusade to boost to the required levels to support emergencies. The National Health Undertaking is expected to significantly increase the availability of different blood groups for patients in their needs. Organizers highlighted the important role each person in the community plays in maintaining blood supplies as an essential lifesaver.
Actually, the reason why we did this is to help the general public and also complement government efforts in the health sector, because blood has been a problem, and we will also use this opportunity to enlighten the community, to enlighten the general public that donating blood is very important, because the blood that you donate today might be for somebody, might be for you, might be for your family.
We all know that there is shortage of blood all over, not only in the Gambia, but all over West Africa, especially in the Africa sub-region. Blood is for everyone. You know, give blood, give life. If you give one pile of blood, you can give one life, you know, or you can save one life.
Hospital Administrator Babukar Sen highly welcomed the gesture and urged other institutions to collaborate with the hospital to tackle challenges hospitals are facing in accessing blood supplies.
The demand for blood, naturally, is very high in this hospital. And as we all know, blood is what sustains life. Somebody mentioned it earlier, that donate blood to save life. Today, as a ministry and as an institution, we are grappling with one of the biggest public health challenges, what we call maternal mortality, that is women dying giving birth. As an institution, we're working very hard to make sure that we drastically reduce maternal mortality. As a hospital also, we're working very hard to ensure that victims of accident, whether it's road traffic accident or industrial accident, when they come to this hospital and they need blood, then they will find blood and have blood given to them.
A major success that helps to boost an important facility, the Blood Donors Day strongly complements the efforts of health authorities by promoting, encouraging, and increasing public awareness on the importance of donating blood. Sergio, GRTS.
Now let's get more on this from the organizers who join us live on the program. Many thanks for joining us, Dr. Baba Mane and Mr. Babusar of WAM Taekwondo. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, we know pregnant women face immense challenges with a great need for transfusions due to loss of blood during childbirth. What is the measure of shortage we are currently facing? Can it be described as a national emergency, Doctor?
Yeah, it could be as national emergency because if you see most of the hospitals, the escorts bringing these women to deliver in the hospitals are very old people. I mean, and we need young and healthy people to come out and donate blood. So if you bring these old people, it's always a challenge. So, but for us in Kanifing, we are always rescued by the security personnel. Those are the ones at Bakau Army Camp and the PIU in Kanifing. So what we normally do when we group them, we give them the form and they know what the blood group is, they go there. When they go to those institutions, they normally give them people who is the same group with their patients. Then they will come back, we screen them, check their blood. If they are okay, we bleed them and ready for transfusion.
Good.
Yes, actually, good evening, gentlemen, and good to have you in our studios. Now, you did mention that you need young people, of course, healthy people, to actually come out and donate blood. And now the question is, what will it take to encourage more people to donate blood? People like myself have never donated blood before, Modo, because I feel scared and all that. How, what can you tell me, convince me to actually come forward and donate blood?
I think one of the things is what Mr. Sar is doing as a youth. You know, he has organized this program, sensitized people to come out and donate blood. Because the blood you are donating could be the one saving your life, you don't know. So coming out to donate blood, nobody can pay you for that. So this is why we are advocating for all the youths to come out in good numbers to rescue the hospitals, because this is our country. If we don't do it, nobody's going to do it for us.
Definitely.
So the youth should come out in full force and donate blood. Some people do, because of the screening of this sexually transmitted infection, people don't want to know what their status is. So that's why, that is also affecting the blood donation. So that's why we are looking for young, healthy gentlemen or women, those who are not fully active in sexual intercourse. You know, so because if you are not active in sex, you may have the limited chances to acquire infection. So this is why we are advocating for the youths to come out in full force and donate blood in the hospitals.
Okay, quite interesting. More definitely, we'll come back to that. We'll take a look at the factors responsible, the challenges faced. Now, of course, Mr. Saad will take us through his story. What actually inspired you to come out and organize such an important initiative?
Thank you very much for hosting us. I think the inspiration that I got is I only have one answer to that.
Which is?
I'm a Gambian, and I have to contribute towards national development. Moreover, I'm an insurance personnel.
Okay.
As an insurance personnel, you always deal with risk, and we are taught how to manage risk. You assess risk and manage risk. What our sisters, our mothers, and our wives encounter during child labor, you know, is always risk. It's full of risk. I can say it's full of risk. So you know, from that perspective, at some point I visited the hospital, and then, you know, such an incident happened. And then the lady was asked to call one of the relatives to come and donate. And unfortunately for them, one of the relatives who was supposed to be called was very far.
Wow.
So when I intervened, she actually was really sad because it was a terrible situation anyway. So then I donated blood about 2 months back. So I told her, I'm sorry I can't, because it always allowed me to three months interval to be able to donate another pile.
Okay.
So I visited the CEO of the institution. I briefly discussed with him. I told him you know, what I want to do. He said, okay, that's fine. Okay, you can give me your proposals, and then we see how best we will be able to match and work together. I think that's where I get my inspiration. That pushed me to work harder.
Wow.
And then anyway, it was challenging, but thankfully today we have a good turnout, and we have a wider coverage.
Now, Dr. Mani, this seems to be a very interesting topic, Babu, rather. But are we facing a lack of public awareness in terms of boosting blood supplies? This seems to be a very relevant thing to save lives.
I would be grateful if you asked me that question as a media personnel. Definitely we are, because the coverage is not there. So that is why we are very thankful to Mr. Sarr, because today this activity was well covered. So we have a lot of media houses which came in, and the coverage was excellent. I think we should be using our national television to sensitize people to come out in numbers to donate blood. But we are making our own, we are trying our own, but we don't have the capacity. So collaborating with institutions like GRTS would help us a lot to sensitize people countrywide, so that people can come out. They know that donating blood would not harm you. In fact,
I think that's a very important call.
So I think the sensitization is definitely lacking, and we need support from GRTS and other sister institutions like GRTS.
Good.
Now, of course, Save Blood is also another challenge, drilling healthcare interventions. Now, can increased blood donation help to provide the necessary supplies and guarantee access to Save Blood for all groups as well?
Yeah, because before you donate any pint of blood, we counsel you first. You meet the counselors, they counsel you. They will educate you all about blood donation, what it takes, what we're going to do, and how we're going to go about it. After counseling you, then now we check your hemoglobin level. That is the amount of blood in your system, to check whether you have enough blood in your system to be able to donate. That is number one. If that is done, then the next stage is to check whether there are any STIs. In your system, those sexually transmitted infections like HIV, AIDS, hepatitis B and C, syphilis, etc., etc. So if we screen all those things and you are safe from all those things, then you are now safe to donate.
You are now good to go. I think, Fatu, that is quite encouraging.
We should actually visit the hospital.
Of course, and I think Newsfile has actually provided you that platform, and in our subsequent GRTS programs equally, I'm sure GRTS will give you all the equal opportunity. And of course, I'm sure in GRTS you have a lot of blood donors also.
Definitely.
But thank you all.
We've not seen one today.
I'm sure I'm going to promise you, we will have some coming.
And I was also interested in knowing how many piles actually were donated. How many piles did you have?
Today we had about 20 pints.
Wow.
Yes, because we expected more than that, but we had some inches here and there.
Yeah, okay.
But nonetheless, this is the first time they are organizing it. We have other institutions like the pipeline.
Yes, pipeline community.
Yes, they've been doing
Fatu,
it.
I'm sure there is more to talk about on these blood donations, but we're going to wrap it up at this point on Newsfile. We will be inviting you in our subsequent news programs equally. Thank you for coming.
And we wish you all the best as well.
Thank you.
The Kanifing General Hospital has held its second national surgical camp offering free medical operations. The two-day camp comes courtesy of the Vision Development Foundation, which exclusively funded the event with a whopping $300,000 to help restore the health of children and patients needing urgent surgery. Janke Turo reports that Turo Dabo's latest intervention aims to access quality health care for the population.
100 patients converge at the Serekunda General Hospital to benefit from a free surgical treatment dealing with different cases. Doctors and surgeons had a full day diagnosing and dispensing medicine for various health complications. The founder of the surgical camp, Dr. Alhaji Mane, said the event is a milestone at the hospital. With medical supplies running short amid an increasing demand, many patients eagerly awaited this moment to have surgery after a long spell. This medical camp was made possible by the VDF, which answered a request from the hospital with a timely call, providing patients with means to afford treatment at no cost. The two-day medical camp makes a critical impact, resolving a costly expenditure whilst helping patients to enjoy restored health.
By extension, I would like to thank the CEO and founder of Vision Development Foundation, Mr. Momodu Turo Dabo, for always being behind us to fully sponsor an event like this for the benefit of a long list of patients who've been awaiting to have surgery in this hospital. Just before coming here, we have operated about 30 patients, and our target is to operate 100 patients today and tomorrow inclusively.
Mr. Mustafa Bitay said the solution to safe surgery is to provide training across the country in required fields to cover our human resources. The surgery camp presents a timely medical solution, offering free help in complex surgical problems. The initiative was also used to transfer vital skills to local experts.
From a system where we've been dealing with this, and we know that some people, because it's elective, it's not an emergency, it has taken them such a long period before they could have surgery. So as a ministry, we are pursuing the strategy to provide the needed emergency surgery where it is needed at their doorstep.
The PRO Vision Development Foundation explained the idea behind the camp, which was launched in 2017 upon a visit by VDF boss and passionate philanthropist Mr. Momodu Turo Dabo. Encountering a dire need for medicine and specialized surgical operations, Mr. Dabo initiated the camp to address the lack of treatment for surgical cases that need attention. The ardent philanthropist passionately founded a clinic to treat a large number of people needing access to surgery.
When the CEO was consulted, Mr. Momodu Dabo, he responded and said, we will come in and ensure that the surgical camp will be organized and will fund it so that those in need can be rescued. That is the time the whole idea was operationalized and executed for the first time.
The medical camp successfully treated 85 people with different complications. Witnessing the camp's opening, Both Papanjai and Nyanjai hailed the initiative, saying government cannot do it alone. Ventures like this scheme are urgently needed to boost health service delivery in the Gambia. Reporting for the news, I am Jenke Ture.
Well, live from Banjul, this is News File still to come. The whistleblower saga advances with a fresh twist as Trump's special Ukraine envoy resigns amid a Democratic impeachment inquiry.
And beyond the winning of gold, a Bissau Guinean sprinter, Brahima Dabo's act of compassion touches fans, athletics fans around the world. That's News 5 when we return. To stay with us.
Special Economic Zone is a 160-hectare mixed-use business park strategically located within the boundaries of Banjul International Airport, the Gambia. It is the only economic zone located within an airport in West Africa. Gaitaf Special Economic Zone is segmented into 4 separate zones: Commercial Zone, Industrial and Light Manufacturing, Logistics and Warehousing, Residential Zone. It is a highly secured economic zone with top-notch infrastructure, with eco-friendly buildings and beautiful landscaping. With attractive incentives and access to a pool of labor within the Gambia and the sub-region, the Gaitaf Special Economic Zone has already completed warehouses available to investors. Located less than 30 minutes away from the international seaport of Banjul, investors in the Special Economic Zone will enjoy a unique proximity to major markets around the world, including Africa, Europe, America, and Asia. For additional information, please visit www.gaitaf.com.
AfriCell is setting trends once again. I'm sure you still love WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and Viber. Your favorite GSM operator, AfriCell, knows this. That's why you can now enjoy more at the same price. Activate the social media bundle and be online for 24 hours for $10 is only.
Hello? Did you hear me? Same price, more megabytes. Activate the social media bundle for $10 is only and receive 40 megabytes.
Talk to your friends and family all day long with AfriCell social media bundle. Enjoy WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and Viber. 24/7 for $10 is only. Gambia, it's no more 30 megabytes, but 40 megabytes.
AfriCell loves you. Enjoy, cause it's yours.
Where AfriCell goes, nobody dares to follow. AfriCell is setting.
Welcome back to News File, and Fatu, what do we have next?
Yes, of course, Modo will now take a look at some sports beyond our borders. And straight to
News File, straight to Doha, Qatar, where the 17th edition of the IAAF World Athletics Championship is taking center stage. After a colorful opening ceremony on Friday, over the next 10 days, 24 different events will be held for male and female athletes from across the world. The key highlight of Doha 2019 will be the IAAF World Championships' first ever midnight marathon. This will introduce a new schedule that sees all morning sessions removed and different evening sessions introduced for the first time. The competition is also set to unveil the first 4x400 meter mixed relay ahead of the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. Nearly 2,000 athletes from 209 nations will compete in 49 athletics events during the competition taking place at the Khalifa International Stadium. The Gambia's very own Gina Bass, an Africa's track queen, raced earlier and emerged third in the heat of the 200-meter heats. She is expected to hit the race course for the next rounds.
Wow, well, we say congratulations to Gina Baz and wish her all the best of luck.
Of course, flying the Gambian flag high.
And meanwhile, Guinea-Bissau's Brahima Dabo did not win any medals at the opening heats of the World Championship, but he certainly won the admiration of the crowd on Friday. Interesting Modu, in a great display of sportsmanship, the Bissau-Guinean athlete helped an exhausted Arabian Jonathan Bursley across the 5,000 meters finish line. The move brought a torching end to the opening heat of the men's 5,000 meters as Busby, who nearly collapsed, was rescued to the final final lap by Ibrahim Dabo. With the two men crossing the line to a rousing ovation at Doha's Khalifa Stadium, Dabo later said he was happy that he could help his colleague after seeing him clearly in pain. Quite a compassion.
Of course, quite compassionate, the spirit of Olympics. Now, let's stay with sports because the WAFU tournament has opened in Senegal earlier today. The host Senegal took on Guinea-Bissau in the opening game. The Gambia is among 16 West African countries participating in this sub-regional tournament, and their Scorpions will open their account against the Black Stars of Ghana on the 1st of October. Well, GRTS Sports visited the Scorpions training camp earlier this week, and we hope to bring you the report in our subsequent newscast.
Well, you're watching News File from our headquarters in Canifing. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll look at news beyond our borders. To stay with us. Welcome back to GRTS's News File, and now to the United States, where Democrats are pressing forward and rather quickly with the impeachment inquiry into President Trump's call to Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. On Friday, 3 House committees subpoenaed Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, demanding an answer for his failure to turn over documents they demanded weeks earlier, outlining interactions between President Trump and Ukrainian officials who were being allegedly pressured to investigate former Vice President Joe Biden. The committee has also scheduled depositions with 5 State Department officials. In the latest twist to the story, Trump's special advisor to Ukraine, Kurt Volker, resigned as Democrats advance yet another inquiry into the U.S. president.
Well, you're watching us live from Banjul. Let's take a quick look at the main news once again. Debates and deals towards a sustainable world. Delegates at the 74th UN General Assembly are discussing security and the combating of human trafficking and organized crime in the Sahel.
And the position in young people in decision-making, 200 global influencers and youth leaders have convened in Banjul for the first Europe-Africa Youth Leadership Summit.
Boosting blood supplies in hospitals amid a soaring demand. A local taekwondo group has collaborated with health officials to encourage voluntary blood donations.
And in sports, the World Athletics Championships have begun in Doha, Qatar, with more than 2,000 athletes from 209 nations competing for gold.
The Gambia's Gina Bass and Africa's track queen raced earlier and emerged third to make it to the upcoming rounds in the 200-meter contest.
And finding a cause for impeachment, Democrats are pressing ahead with their inquiry into the whistleblower allegations, placing Trump at the center of a new saga.
Well, that was all in this edition of News File. Thanks for watching, and join us at 10 o'clock again, myself and Fatu Janimbai for the 10 p.m. news. Until then, bye-bye.
Thank you for watching and have a pleasant evening.
joɗon ko honno heɓiro uniforme mi jomongo